subscribe to my channels. Guys, I think it would be obvious, and I all should agree that where we live today was originally occupied by animals, right? Birds, animals, birds, bees, whatever. What up, fish vibes, people? Guys, in this open savanna next to me here, the guys in the area have been fixing it up. What we have here is a situation where obviously they fixed up the savanna for recreation purposes. But these two birds decided this was a perfect habitat for them to come and lay eggs and breed. Lay eggs, make young ones. Two of them, and they are very, I don't know the name of these birds, guys. Anyone who knows the name could let me know. What I will tell you is these birds are very aggressive. Now they have the eggs somewhere in the center on the ground here. Even their own kind, they don't want here in this whole area. One sits on the egg, the other one guards. And trust me, anything that comes close to them is attack. Some kids come to play with a ball in the park about 2 days ago. The eggs haven't even hatched yet. And they chase the kids off the park. I mean, it's crazy. I saw a picture of the eggs. Someone who came to do some work by me actually went and took a picture of the eggs. It's a gray egg with a lot of spots on it. But I'm not trying to go in there to record these eggs. Because another group of workers I have on my property, they told me they actually engaged them when they had chicks at one time. And one of the guys showed me a sky he got. He said the bird attacked him beak first, plunged into his head, busted his head, and he said under the wing has some sharp bones like razors. He said they're very aggressive once those chicks are around. So guys, never a dull moment. They have really nice color and thing. But with this open area here, they are more out seeing too right now. And then what is happening, the hawks are seeing them as snacks. For every now and again you'll see a hawk swooping down here. I'll try to get a close up of them in a bit, so you can see all the amazing colors of them. Is he going to show us some colors here? A nice black chest. I'm going to try to get a close up of them. But I have noticed this bird is very close to my home. And I'm telling you, sometimes I'm coming out my door and the bird is coming up to my fence line. Guys, I think this bird has decided that apart from the entire that's a fish vendor selling there. Carrot, cavalli and salmon. That's some good fish, man. That's some good fish there. Wow. Because these birds are totally taking over the space. But the mistake these birds will make is to attack me in my yard. Trust me. I will say no more. Guys, I'm going to feed my fish here. So guys, the truth is, Trinidad has gone on official lockdown effective today. Today is I think it's the 30th of April, last day of the month, and it's the second year of this pandemic, as everyone will know. And these lockdowns, while Trinidad would have been very, not extremely conservative, but we were doing pretty okay after we got a handle of it last year. And then we came into the Easter 2021. And guys, like, all hell broke loose here. Now, while I would admit I didn't see much, what's this? Guy, this hawk here is a chicken hawk. He wants to make a snack of those birds as well. Yeah, so while I will say, guys, check my Tancho out. He's settling in. Yeah, so while I will admit I didn't see a lot of congregation. Now there was some congregation with people in certain areas. So I guess that may be it. With this pandemic, it doesn't have to be a massive crowd, eh? I guess if you have a place with about 50 people, even that can be a catalyst. So there was no concerts or no big lines like that, but there were definitely a number of people, fraternizing in different areas, whether it be by bars, whether it be family lines in their private residence, etc. And that's what I understand the doctors are saying, that it's a lot of private home spread, people having lines and parties or whatever at their private residence, and that is accounting for a lot of what we see now. I mean, we're talking about numbers. I think on Wednesday we had about 223 cases, followed by Thursday, yesterday we had 328 cases. So it's getting concerning, guys. It's getting very worrying. And those numbers are our highest numbers, because the 223 cases, I think it was the highest, and then it was beaten yesterday by 328. I mean, it's crazy. And there's always split views about what must be done by the government in cases like that, in a situation like this. Now, I would propose this food for thought, right? And the food for thought is this: who stands to really lose and suffer with the shutdown of the country, the shutdown of workplaces? Now, it's a complicated question, but let's not get too convoluted. And Trinidad, while there's about 700,000 plus adults, 1.3, 1.4 million, 1.3, 1.4 million is the population, 700,000 plus working adults. Guys, the rain has come down. But as I was saying, while there's about 700,000 working adults, the truth of the matter is a large percentage of the people work paycheck to paycheck. Now, paycheck to paycheck, and there's a lot of contract type workers, etc. So if you're trying to ascertain what is a stable group of people in terms of, well, let me put it like this: if you were to ascertain who are the people who are truly affected when business stops, I'm telling you, it's those paycheck to paycheck people. Now, of course, there's people with permanent jobs, so your employer may not be able to dismiss you just like that. But if the country continues to have lockdown like this, the employer will go out of business. That line of business, they're going to go out of business. So even though you may be a permanent employee, you can't lose your job and have no job. That's just a fact, and it has been happening. And that this has been happening, and it's not being spoken about a lot, but people are feeling it. And you have to ask yourself, we're an educated country. Free education is the order of the day here for some time. I mean, we have been going through some economic challenges now that we're no longer a premier oil and gas producer. But we have had really good times and within recent times. So free education means you have educated people. So when people have taken the Easter holidays and gone against what was recommended by the doctors and the government, yeah, they have gone against what is recommended by the doctors. They are wholly responsible for the rise in numbers with the COVID cases. And then they say the government must now pay them to stay home if there's a lockdown. But they didn't want to stay home when they caused the virus to spread. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents or 3 cents or 1 cent. But it's going to be some interesting times ahead. Because these paycheck to paycheck educated people simply may be solely responsible for where we are this time. Guys, this Tancho has really settled in. As you can see, look at it. He seems to have a natural reddish tinge in his body line. He has a good body line, but he seems to have a reddish tone, a pinkish coloration. I'll still look to see if it gets whiter. I was watching a video with Corey, moved to a real massive pond. He's transferring fish. I saw him showing one of his koi's and a little dot on the head, and he called it a Tancho. Corey, this is a real Tancho. Just joking, man, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean, Corey. Yeah, guys, and this guy here, he's a young guy, but he has grown really, really big. Really, really big. Alright, let me feed these fish. And guys, just for some context as it relates to COVID numbers and the actual numbers as it impact the impact. I mean, we're talking 300, 200 COVID cases a day. Average 1 to 2 deaths, about 2 deaths a day. Probably 1 point something deaths a day. Population 1.4 million. So while the numbers may seem small, of course you always have to recognize that that's what is reported. Those are the people who would have presented themselves to the hospital, together with people who are primary cases, primary contacts of people who presented themselves to the hospital. So a good number to understand what the real problem is you always multiply that number by about 5. But if you were to compare Jamaica numbers on its worst days, Jamaica is about double our population, a little more than double. And one of Jamaica's crisis points was they were getting like about 900 plus cases a day. So we are running at about, if we double the number a bit, that is like 600-700 cases a day if you try to bring it equivalent. And the thing is, we don't have, while we have hospital beds, I think we have, they said 1,000 beds. So the beds are really not for the cases, but for the people who need treatment. And that number of people, while you would have 300 plus a day, not all of them will require a hospital bed. Some of them will be home quarantine. But I think we are already at about 20-30% hospital bed capacity. And you know how quickly this COVID could spread. So that's why the government would be taking a proactive type of move. And again, they're hoping that it works because we never allowed it to get so large before. So this is the first time we've seen the numbers so huge. And then trying to introduce, measures. Okay. Guys, look at that. One of my rainbow fish is dead. Why is the shark not eating it? I mean, these sharks are not serious, man. And I will tell you, that rainbow fish dead like that, I suspect it's probably those same birds that coming here and trying to eat fish. Why is the shark not eating the fish? I've seen predatory fins and they feed fish. And their sharks and stuff would eat meat. So why would they not eat a fish? Guys, I don't know if you all could see the black iridescent sharks. I have 4 of them in here, and the white ones you're seeing, the albino ones you're seeing, there's about 2 of the black ones that are even bigger than those. There's 6 of them in all. And by now they may be, the biggest one may be about, the last time I measured them, they were about 28 inches, the bigger ones, if I remember correctly, which is 2 feet 4 inches. And this guy has grown. This albino one has grown. So I would easily say he's about 30-32 inches now. And I think they go up to about 4 feet. They can go up to 4 feet. Guys, if I feed these fishes all day here, they'll eat all day, trust me. Especially these sharks. I've been feeding these fishes. Normally I give them a break with feeding. I've been feeding these fishes about 3-4 days straight. And every day they're eating. Every day they're coming up and eat. Sometimes when you feed them consistently, you'll know that they don't need that much food because they don't come up and eat all the time. But as of late, every day they're eating. Sometimes I'll go a week without feeding them. So guys, that's it for now. Until my next rant. Donald Fish Vibes over and out. Ciao guys.
Subscribe to my channels.